Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're having a look at the Sub 300T V2 model from Tactical Frog. Now this is the second version of their Doxa Homage and it's undergone some alterations and some upgrades, but have they all worked? Is it a worthwhile upgrade, and more importantly, should you spend your money on one? Well, without any further ado, let's get into the review. So as I said in the intro, this is the V2 Tactical Frog. Now I did do a review on the first version of this a couple of months ago, which I'll leave a link to in the description down below if you want to go ahead and check out the review for the V1. And if you haven't done so already, please do consider hitting that subscribe button and that bell icon. It really would mean a lot to me. Okay, so let's cover the dimensions off really quickly. I'll pop them up just there for you. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because they are identical to the version 1. The only caveat being that the lug-to-lug distance now is true because of the changed end links, which I'll come back to in a little bit later on. Now, since the version 1 and this V2 have an awful lot of similarities, I'm only going to concentrate this video on what is actually new for this version 2. So with that in mind, let's start off with that dial. So Tactical Frog have called it an upgraded dial design. And if you're familiar with the version 1, you can see that they have removed the Tactical Frog line of text from the dial. Now I'll show you a picture of a V1. As you can see, the white dial there does have the word Tactical Frog above the 6, and this new blue V2 does not. Now I actually quite like it. It looks a bit cleaner, I think. It looks a little bit more balanced. So I've got no issues with that. It does look quite nice. And of course, the Tactical Frog itself, the frog logo remaining at 12, which I actually quite like. So moving on to the bezel. This was perhaps one of the biggest bones of contention with fans or possible buyers of the first watch. That tachymeter bezel, as you can see there, is now gone, replaced with feet in capital letters. Now, I'm quite happy with this. The tachymeter bezel didn't really bother me, if I'm honest. I know it should have. It was completely out of place. But, you know, it didn't really bother me that much. It didn't bother me to the point where I wouldn't buy the watch, but I know it was a big issue for a lot of people. And all credit to Tactical Frog. They have changed it with this now feet marking. Now, another thing to note is that the numbers, the coloured numbers on the outside of the bezel there have actually grown in size with the version 2 as well. Those blue numbers there, they sort of match the size of that feet marking. And if you look at the version 1 with the tachymeter bezel, the numbers on it are actually quite a bit smaller. So pretty much personal taste. I don't mind it on its own. The new blue markings actually look quite nice. They quite suit it. They do stand out a little bit more than the smaller ones on the version 1. But yeah, I think they've just done it to match in with that size and style of the feet marking there. So yeah, just another addition. Also with the bezel, they have moved the location of the Lume pip, and the Lume pip is now functional. Still with the Tactical Frog bezel, only the outer part rotates. They haven't changed to making the whole thing rotate. But the Lume pip now is loomed, and it is on the part that rotates, so it makes it functional. If you were ever to use this in low light or diving or whatever it may be, at least you have a functioning Lume pip. The only little consideration is that my Lume pip on this particular one is a little bit off. So not by terribly much, but it is off. So hopefully that is just isolated and won't be throughout the whole batch. So let's move on to the bracelet then. Now the bracelet on the first watch was pretty good. There was nothing particularly wrong with it apart from the end links for me. And look, they have rectified that rather beautifully. So we now have fully female end links, allowing the lug-to-lug measurement, as I said earlier on, to be true to size. Big addition this. It's a pretty small thing really on paper, but it makes a big difference wearing the watch. I think it increases the comfort level tenfold. I think it's a big thing, that, and it looks great for it, and yeah, brilliant. They've sorted that out. The other thing to note is that they have went with screws to hold the links together, as opposed to the old bracelet, which simply had the push pins. So again, another better upgrade, I would say. It makes changing links or taking or removing links much easier with the screws there. The only thing to note is that this is still the same essential bracelet in the middle. It is still not a true beads of rice. It still has those fused central bead parts. So not a true beads of rice, so it doesn't articulate perfectly, but nonetheless, those female end links and the addition of the screws, much nicer bracelet, much nicer to wear, much nicer to resize. Moving on to the case. Now, the version 1, actually the spring bar holes there were too close to the case itself, towards the case back there, and it meant that if you took the bracelet off, then you would have real trouble fitting another strap because there simply wasn't enough room. Now, they have rectified this for V2. They have moved the location of the spring holes closer to the edge, giving you more space and more scope to change straps. So again, that's a nice little detail that they've sorted out and rectified for owners of the V2. Now, I'll show you a quick wrist shot. I have 7.5-inch wrists for your reference, and look at those female end links. They just hug the wrist. They are so much more comfortable, and they also allow this to be opened up to people with smaller wrists as well. So yeah, great addition there. It still wears beautifully well, and it's very nice to have on your wrist. So we'll cover off Lume just really quickly because I do love a Lume video. No change to the Lume. It's still what Tactical Frog claimed to be C3 Lume. Glows green, still glows really nicely. No issues with the Lume department. And I'll cover off price really quickly. I found this to be slightly cheaper. I'm not sure if it was actually offered cheaper or if it was the exchange rate, but I'm sure it was 175 or 179 the last time. This is now 169 US dollars. Equating to about £125. Fantastic value as always, folks. I got this one from watchdives.com. The second, I bought the V1 from them as well, and of course no issues. Watchdives were fantastic. Fast postage. It reached me within a week and a half here at the UK. Great. I can't recommend Watchdives enough. They have a great selection as well. Do check them out. What are the final conclusions then, Chris? Well, I think it's quite easily broken down. So they've taken the two biggest niggles about the first version, and they have been addressed. That tachymeter wording on the bezel and the switch to those female end links. Fantastic. The other changes, such as the larger bezel printing there, and the omission of that Tactical Frog line of text from the dial, are purely just cosmetic, and therefore pretty much subjective. Now, I do like the new dial layout. I think it does look a bit cleaner, but I'm not too mad on that larger printing of those numbers. I kind of like the smaller, more intricate of the V1, but again, totally subjective, and others may well feel differently. And now, of course, that functioning Lume pip has been changed location, and the spring bar positioning has been changed to allow for strap changes. So great practical amendments on those changes, definitely add to the functionality and the usability. Now, these are of course just my own personal thoughts, folks. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think. Have you got a V1 and you're thinking about a V2, or have you bought the V2? What do you think of it? Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this one. Now, I'll finish off by saying, this is a great Doxa Homage. You cannot go wrong buying one of these, I don't think. I don't think you'll buy one of these and think, oh my god, that's horrible. It's a great watch, and much kudos to Tactical Frog. They have taken on board their customers' wants, their complaints, and they have produced what is a much better, well-rounded, more functioning watch. I think it's much more comfortable, and it's still, of course, great value, perhaps even slightly greater value. So if you are thinking about upgrading, I say definitely go for it. Pull that trigger, you will not be disappointed. So as always, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Please do like and subscribe if you like my content, and I will see you in the next review.